Congratulations, you have accidentally traveled back in time. Not to the future, not to a world with flying cars and robot assistants, and definitely not to become a caveman superhero. You are in the Stone Age. Your phone is dead, your GPS is useless, your Wi-Fi has been replaced by a guy named Bob screaming from another cave. And honestly, that might be an improvement, because now the sun is going down, the temperature is dropping, and somewhere in the darkness, something is watching you. Probably a predator, or worse, another human who wants your food. But don't panic, because you still have the most powerful invention in human history. No, not the smartphone, not artificial intelligence, fire. Today, you are going to learn how to create the thing that transformed humans from fragile animals hiding in the dark into the species that built cities, machines, and eventually figured out how to make videos about surviving in the Stone Age. Before fire, humans were basically nature's guests, very uncomfortable guests. Imagine living your entire life without a lamp, a heater, or a kitchen. That was the reality. Night was dangerous, cold was dangerous, and eating the wrong thing could turn your stomach into a disaster zone. Then someone discovered fire, and suddenly humans unlocked one of the biggest upgrades in history. Fire gave us warmth, light, protection, cooked food, cleaner water, and eventually, the ability to create metal tools, build cities, and develop technology. Basically, civilization started with someone looking at a burning piece of wood and thinking, interesting, I should probably keep this. Of course, there was a small problem. Making fire without matches is extremely annoying, and nature does not give free tutorials. Before you become the first Stone Age engineer, you need to understand one simple rule. Fire needs three things: fuel, oxygen, and heat. Take away any one of them, and your beautiful little campfire disappears instantly. No oxygen, no fire. No fuel, no fire. No heat? Congratulations, you now have a pile of cold sticks. The first method is the classic one: 2 sticks, 1 goal, and absolutely no respect for your hands. You take a dry piece of wood called a fireboard. Then you take another stick called a spindle. You place the spindle into a small hole and start spinning. Sounds easy. It is not. Movies make this look like you rub 2 sticks together for 5 seconds, and suddenly you have a perfect campfire. Reality is much less impressive. You spend several minutes looking like someone trying to start the world's oldest washing machine. But something important is happening. Friction creates heat. The spinning wood creates dark powder. That powder gets hotter, and eventually, a tiny glowing ember appears. This ember is not a fire yet. It is more like fire's tiny baby cousin. Very small, very fragile, and extremely easy to accidentally kill. You carefully move it into dry grass, bark, or plant fibers. Then you slowly add oxygen. Not too much. You are not blowing out birthday candles. You are trying to convince a tiny piece of coal to become a flame. And when it finally happens, you have created something humans spent thousands of years mastering: fire. The hand drill works. But humans quickly discovered something important. Rubbing sticks together with your hands is exhausting. And humans have always been very good at one thing: finding easier ways to do difficult work. So they invented the bow drill. The idea is simple. You take a flexible piece of wood, add a string, wrap the string around the spindle, and now the bow does the spinning for you. Instead of moving your hands hundreds of times, you move a small wooden bow back and forth. The spindle spins faster, the pressure stays consistent, and your hands survive another day. Which is useful, because in the Stone Age, you probably need your hands for other important things, like finding food, building shelter, or dramatically pointing at your new fire and saying, "Look what I made." The bow drill became one of the most reliable ways humans created fire for thousands of years, because it solved the biggest problem: making enough heat in the right place. Maybe you don't want to spend 10 minutes fighting a piece of wood. Fair. There is another option: rocks. But before you start smashing random stones together, remember this: most rocks do absolutely nothing. You can hit 2 rocks together all day. Congratulations. You now have 2 slightly angrier rocks. To create sparks, you need the right materials. One of them can be flint, a hard stone that breaks with sharp edges. When struck correctly, it can create tiny, hot fragments. Those fragments become sparks. But a spark is not fire. A spark is just a very tiny, very dramatic opportunity. It exists for a moment and then disappears. So humans needed something to catch it, a dry material called tinder. Things like dried fungus, plant fibers, or very dry bark. The spark lands. The tinder starts glowing. The ember grows, and suddenly, two ordinary pieces of stone have created technology. Not bad for something you can pick up from the ground. But what if you don't have the right wood? What if you don't have the right stones? What if you are having a very unlucky day in prehistoric history? Look up. The biggest fire source on Earth is already doing the work for you: the sun. A lens can focus sunlight into a tiny point. That point concentrates energy, and if you focus it enough, it becomes hot enough to start a fire. A glass lens works. A transparent container filled with water can work. Even a carefully shaped piece of ice can work. Yes, the same thing you normally use to keep drinks cold can help you create fire. Nature is weird like that. The only problem? You need sunlight. So if you are trying this during a stormy night, you might want to return to the stick method. So why do most people fail when trying to make fire? Usually, it is not because the method is impossible. It is because they make the same mistakes. Mistake number 1, wet wood. Wet wood is not firewood. It is just wood that refuses to cooperate. Mistake number 2, starting too big. A tiny ember cannot immediately become a giant campfire. You need to build slowly. Small materials first, bigger pieces later. Mistake number 3, blowing too hard. Fire is not a candle on a birthday cake. You are not trying to make a wish. Mistake number 4, giving up too quickly. Ancient humans failed too. The difference? They didn't have a warm house waiting for them. Mistake number 5, confusing smoke with success. Smoke means something is happening. Fire means you actually did it. Look at you. A few minutes ago, you were a confused time traveler standing in the dark. Now you have fire, a tiny flame. But this tiny flame changed everything. Every city, every machine, every civilization. Started with someone protecting a small, glowing ember in the darkness. Fire was humanity's first technology. Before computers, before engines, before rockets. Just a person, a few pieces of wood, and the decision to fight against the cold. But remember, fire is only the beginning, because a warm campfire does not solve your next problem. You still need water. And finding safe water in the wild is a whole different challenge. In the next episode, how to find water, how to clean it, and why drinking from the first random puddle you see is probably a terrible life decision. Subscribe, because if you really are stuck in the Stone Age, you are going to need all the help you can get.